Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
You know, Kevin Costner might have been a better choice.
It definitely would have. We got Chris.
Did I say something? You look angry.
And I'm Kia. Welcome to the show. We're picking up with the Secret Wars again. We were starting. This is Secret Wars 2 Part 2. Is that how we say it?
Yes.
Last time we started Secret Wars 2, the big sequel to Secret Wars 1 from 1984, 1985. Just a 9-issue kind of event with tie-ins everywhere. We read the first 5 last time, so this time we're reading the back half, 6 through 9, and then we are continuing Thunderbolts after that. We are on issue 15 over there. They're back on Earth.
Yay!
But Secret Wars.
So, hey, newsflash to stay comment. Since our last issue, or since our last episode, Marvel announced a new Secret Wars 2.
What?
I guess.
Hold on, a new Secret Wars 2?
Because they had Secret Wars in 2015 where they killed the Ultimate Universe, if you remember that.
Yeah.
And this is a sequel to that because they created a new Ultimate Universe within the last year or two. And so they're going to cross over. So they announced on like the 21st of March, they announced Secret Wars 2.0.
Whoa.
So it's not Secret Wars 2 2025. We're talking about Secret Wars 2 1985.
So yeah, we're not talking about the new 2.0. This is Secret Wars Roman numeral 2 from the past.
Aye.
Yeah, aye. So what happened in those? All right, so let's just catch people up here. Original Secret Wars event in like 85, 83, 84, whatever, on a planet fighting because the Beyonder wants them to, whatever. New event, a year later, the Beyonder is on Earth, and he just wants to kind of be human. He wants love. He wants to figure out his purpose on this planet and this existence. It's not what we expected.
There's no Secret Wars. There have been no wars that have been secret.
Nope. And we're just kind of continuing. I don't think it's any surprise we didn't care for the first 5 issues here. Let's just did this kind of what is this with your expectations? Did it kind of just continue with what you thought, or did it go like, wait a minute, now I didn't expect that? What are y'all feeling here?
I think I like the premise, but it seemed like every issue, like 3 through 5 of the last one, was him being like, I don't understand why what's the purpose of existence? And then he does the exact same thing where he gets like rich and powerful and then undoes it at the end. And I was like, this better not be the same way for the next 4 issues. And it pretty much is.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. Let's see how things go. We'll try to go quick, but there's a lot of stuff stuffed into here. And sometimes the details, they're fun. They're interesting. They can be. I just hate the package it's all wrapped up in. Let's get to it. All right. Beyonder's in Illinois now. He's always picking a different location to just kind of hang out in. He's built himself a giant complex. He's going to start helping superheroes. He's going to be a good guy, he's decided. He's a champion of the light, he keeps calling himself. This journalist, Dave. We learned a lot about Dave, I feel. This trend with this book, we learned so much about the side characters. Dave gets filled in on how this must have happened in the side issues where he meets Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange shows him eternity and chaos and all those space things, and he's trying to be a good guy now. And this journalist Dave is so inspired. He's like, screw journalism, I'm going to help the Beyonder. We're going to build a giant organization. And Beyonder doesn't actually need all that, because I'm glad this journalist has found a sense of purpose, I guess. I still could be doing more. Meanwhile, we got Molecule Man, Owen, and his girlfriend, Marcia. They're at home in Colorado eating. Owen hasn't had a very great day, and he's like, oh, God, and now the Watcher is watching me. And his girlfriend's like, what are you talking about? I don't see anybody. And he's like, no, he's right there. Show yourself. And he's like, yeah, I was here. I was watching you. And it seems like Molecule Man hates the Watcher, and we get some backstory on them. When Owen got his Molecule Man powers, he apparently turned evil, and they had to beat him, and Uatu kept him captive and kind of made him forget he had powers. Then later, in the original Secret Wars, Doom unlocked him again, and in the end, after he got all his powers, Owen just wanted peace. And so Uatu The Watcher is like, hey, we were wrong to be fearful, but now I'm here to ask for your help, man. We don't want the Beyonder to undo everything, and so we kind of thought we'd come to you for help, but Owen does not want to help the Watcher. He's just like, get out of my face. But meanwhile, the Beyonder is just kind of like saving other people, saving galaxies. He still doesn't feel super fulfilled. He sees a curse fighting Beta Ray Bill in New York City, which was from like an earlier issue. He released this guy on Thor. He's fighting Beta Ray Bill.
Oh, that was that guy in the ocean that we were like, oh, when's that going to come into play? And then it like is so like non-eventful. That was like teased for like 3 issues. That's bullshit.
No, it's exactly. He doesn't even deal with it. He like gets distracted by Captain America and Reed Richards. And when he turns back to it later, he's like, well, I guess Beta Ray Bill found a way to escape. Seems like everything's okay over there for now. But yeah, Captain America and Reed Richards show up. Terrible social skills from Reed Richards. He gets very to the point, saying, listen, man, you're working too hard. You're saving too many people. We don't know where this is going to lead, but people are going to rely on you too much, and like everything is going to rely on you. So you just got to stop. And the Beyonder's like, okay, yeah, no problem. I get it. And then Captain America gets weirdly pissed at him. He's like, really? Do you get it, dude? Because this is important. This is the importance of freedom we're talking about here. And I'm like, whoa, man, this guy hasn't done anything.
I feel like Captain America. Chris, you said last episode that Captain America is just like very poorly written and like super like all the heroes are pretty aggressive in this book, but Captain America is just like on another level of just like being miswritten.
Yeah. And Reed Richards is like the guy with Captain America that's like giving this speech. I'm like, you're one to talk, buddy. I will say that. This, I'm not going to have a lot of praise for this series, but the first appearance of the Molecule Man, Fantastic Four number 20, the second appearance of the Watcher, and it does establish that they don't like each other. Uatu just shows up and it's like, Fantastic Four, I need you to deal with this guy. Like, that's literally the issue. So it's just like, okay, so that's actually canon.
It is. I do like the little bits of, it's like that Kurt Busiek style of like, just bring back those little things and make them make sense, and I'm okay with that. So what's going on? Dave comes in, the journalist. He's like, nah, I know what's going on here. Y'all are just afraid the Beyonder's going to take the limelight. Nobody's got anything to fear from us.
I like that he's like, I'm going to tell you. No, wait, I'm going to show you with bad art what you are afraid of.
That is weird. He like this. There's this device the Beyonder had where he used it to show Dave like a bunch of stuff, and he's just like, look at this picture of just heroes standing around that proves my point. All right. So they leave, and Beyander's like, don't worry, guys, I'll keep everything in mind. He does not keep any of that in mind because at the Beyonder, he has a press conference and he says, listen up, everyone. We're going to vanquish death. We're going to get rid of the concept of death altogether. Nothing can die.
This is not going to end well.
Not going to end well. Mephisto down in the underworld hears about all this and he's not happy with it. Then the Beyonder and Dave meet Lady Death for a drink. Beyonder has put all his power into this cup of whatever the Death is going to drink. It's going to kill them. Which I don't know why Death has agreed to drink this. I guess is whatever. Mephisto shows up to try and stop it. Then Uatu and all the other celestial beings show up as well. They're all there. All the classic dudes made of stars. Dudes in the there's like a dudes in the shadows for the stars. Dudes, I don't know. Dudes in the eclipse.
Yeah. A lot of Jack Kirby creations.
Yeah. The in-betweener is there. He speaks for everyone where he's like, listen, some of us hate death and we're always fighting against it, but we don't want it eliminated, man. But Beyonder does it all anyways. And death is eliminated. And all the the celestial kind of beings can sense a change. Owen, Molecule Man, can feel it in Colorado. He's like, oh shit, I gotta go. He shows up where they're all at, and he's like, I got to talk to the Beyonder alone here. And he explains it pretty simply. He's like, why is anyone going to bother if nothing can die anymore? Like, why do we eat? You've kind of fucked it all up for us. Dave, the journalist, realizes their error. He goes crazy. He's like, oh, my God, dude, we got to make it all right now. So Beyonder is like, okay, the only way we can do that is somebody has to die and become death. And so Dave, the journalist, is like, hey, I just wanted a purpose in life. That'll do it. So Dave the journalist is the new Death.
Which I can't imagine lasts because Thanos is going to come back in a few years and look for Lady Death again, right?
No, it's Dave.
I
It's
think
Dave.
it's the same. It's like you just need a soul to fill the concept, you know? I think
Okay.
that's all it is. So I
Still
think,
turn into hot Sandman death.
yeah,
Neil Gaiman.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think
this is a frustrating issue.
it was a frustrating issue.
This is just like purely we've crossed over. This is just a what if issue. Like this is just nothing. Like this is not a series at this point.
It's really not. I don't know. It's like I'm very confused what's going on here, especially that like the very important stuff with Doctor Strange. I think it seems like it would have fit pretty well into the main series, but it's just like nowhere.
Considering, yeah, he was with the Avengers when they caught him, last issue, but he didn't say a word.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, and then this issue is just like I want to get rid of the concept of death, and it's like okay, there's no stakes, there's no like way to stop it. He just does it. You know, there's nothing like God gets in his way, no obstacles, no nothing. In my head, I'm like I've read enough like Swamp Thing and other things to know like the decaying death serves a purpose, the circle of life. You can't just take a piece of the circle of life. And they kind of like do hint at this like, well, what am I going to eat if nothing's dead? Like I can't eat dead plants. I can't eat dead animals. What can I eat?
And I don't need to eat anymore.
I don't need to eat,
I don't die.
But am I going to be like hungry? Is my stomach going to be grumbling the whole time? Did he solve for that problem? I don't know. And then but then it's just like undone within like a page and a half. Like he gets rid of death. They're like, this sucks. And he's like, okay, yeah, now Dave is now death. Cool. Problem solved.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then what the fuck was the point?
Yeah, that's what makes it a what if issue. That it's just like the weird tales, like, oh, how ironic. He got just what he wanted, kind of like twist ending. I will say there's a great well, it's not great. It's I think the third cosmic event after Annihilation, where a Captain Marvel, the dead one, the one who died of cancer, shows up from another reality called the Cancerverse, and they're in a world where they did defeat death, and it's bad. It's like defeated death pejorative, where this is like, oh no, this is a nightmare world of basically walking corpses, and they invade our Earth, and it's a very fun story. This is much worse than that.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into issue 7 here. We got New Death.
I say much worse. It's much better until every issue until the end.
Yeah, it's at least a little bit more fun with this next one. Death and Mephisto.
I see MODOK on the cover. I see Dr. Octopus. I see Ultron.
I saw this cover and I was like, maybe this is gonna be a fun issue. Nope.
No, none of those people are even in this issue, are they?
I think MODOK is in the background of one group.
Maybe.
I don't know. Am I losing y'all here?
No, you're there. Friend of Your Stupid Minds is there, though. Craven the Hunter. He's on the left side.
Oh.
Craven's gonna hunt down the Beyonder with his lion vision.
That's what Craven the Hunter, the movie's about, right? Him trying to kill the Beyonder.
Oh yeah, because he's more of a hero. Killing the Beyonder would make you a hero in my mind.
All right, so Death and Mephisto, New Death. Talking in the underworld there, Mephisto has made some kind of like a big giant device to destroy the Beyonder with. The Beyonder, meanwhile, has moved locations again.
It's called Beyonder's Bane. Which
Beyonder's Bane is this issue? Oh, no, that's the name of the device.
Or the poison or something, yeah.
Yeah.
I do like that the villain of the series is now Mephisto. Has he been in the series until last issue?
No, I don't think so.
But he got mad at death, but now he's just like, wait a minute, now I got to stop the Beyonder.
I mean, like, that was a big deal, eliminating death and being like, I don't want him pulling any of that shit again. I'm going after him.
He did, like, massively disrupt his income source and upset the economy of Mephisto's country.
I get that.
So now he's got to go fight them. He's got to go to war with them.
I do like that he's like, I know you're lying to me, demon, but I like that because I love lies.
Oh, yeah. So Beyonder sat in alone on an island in somewhere, and while he's sat in alone on this island, like the South Pacific somewhere, his neighbor on an island next door drives over on his boat. His name's Ed Strunk. What does he say? He's like, oh, I was a lawyer or something, and I just needed to get away from it all. What are you doing out here?
I've been
He's
watching
like,
a
"Oh, I'm
lot of
just
White Lotus, and these are all people that are just trying to be in a country that doesn't have an extradition treaty with the U.S.
Yeah, it's a bad idea. But somehow I can't picture this guy just like moving to an island. I don't know.
He definitely created some financial crimes. Definitely.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. But Beyonder says, no, I'm just out here thinking. And he's like, thinking? Huh. Well, I never thought of that. Woo. I don't know. It was a very strange reaction from this guy. Anyways, on a very...
It's more of
Go
the
ahead.
like Jim Shooter's really bad like satire where everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna think too. Like everyone is just like a poser who wants to be like the Beyonder who's cool. Or you're just like, I don't know this.
Yeah, like just to kind of fast forward through that part of the issue there, this Ed guy ends up bringing by a boat of other people who are like, they heard about your thinking and they want to try it too. And they're just like, I'm like, what? In no
Yeah.
world would this ever be a thing.
Yeah,
They start a cult, basically.
And it's like, again, it's like if Steve Gerber was writing this, it would be like funny and like a effective satire of like modern 70s things, but or 80s, I guess. But this is just nothing. I'm just like, what is this? You're just wasting my time.
It's just kind of there.
I was trying to think about this, and this is like as we're talking, but also I was thinking like if Bendis wrote this, like with the same type of concept, I feel like the Beyonder would be trying to do like a different like ways that humans try to be fulfilled consciously every issue, like joining a church, making lots of money, working out, like ways different humans try to find meaning like every issue, and he's not like getting what he wants. Because this is like, a community, and like on the positive side, it's like a Buddhist temple, and on the far side, it's like a cult. And it's just not like not working. But I could see like Bendis trying to tackle this, and he would have done a lot better at this than whatever this ended up being. Yeah,
because it is trying to do what you're talking about, I think, but it all ends up just kind of being very one note across every attempt. Right. Yeah. All right, so what else is going on in this issue? On an island 150 miles to the south, the Thing is there, possibly living there, but also filming an action sequence. Maybe he's bringing his work to him in his new home.
Because he's not with Fantastic Four, right?
Exactly, yep. He's getting beer deliveries out on this island. It's a beer he found on the wrestling scene in Pittsburgh. The delivery guy gets a name. His name is Hopper Hernicky. And he's like, hey, isn't that where you wrestled the Beyonder? And he's like, don't ever mention that name around me. But we do get filled in with some recent Thing issues where he did wrestle the Beyonder after he left the Fantastic Four. Thing wanted to kill him during the wrestling match, but he couldn't go through with it.
Because Thing has his own solo series at this point, but he's not in.
Right. He's riding a motorcycle off. He's on his own adventures.
Yeah, after Secret Wars 1, he leaves the team and She-Hulk replaces him.
Because he what was it? During Secret Wars 1, he was in his human form again, and kind of losing that really hurt him. And then he lost Alicia to Johnny. Oh, no. Crazy stuff.
It turns out she was a Skrull. Don't worry, Ben.
Yeah.
By the way, Hopper does appear again when he gets transformed on Monster Island in Fantastic Four number 296.
Hopper Hernicky?
Good to know.
Yep.
We're going to have to read that.
Also written by Jim Shooter. Penciled by Barry Windsor Smith. Fascinating.
Shocking.
All right. So meanwhile, in the underworld, Mephisto is also gathering every villain for something. Not even like he's kind of out and about. His people are making bribes, paying the people they got to, just kind of getting every villain on the same page. Owen sees on the news that the South Seas Guru is the Beyonder. And Owen's like, oh, I got to step away from game night to take a look at the universe. You can tell that all the other forces are plotting against the Beyonder. Part of him wants to warn the Beyonder, but part of him wants them to succeed and defeat him. All the heroes are watching TV, and they're also kind of debating against each other, like, oh, we got to go after him. There he is. We got to kill him. And they're like, well, he's not exactly doing anything. He's just kind of sitting there. Mephisto is watching everything. He's like, all right, it's almost time for all the villains to move out. And then Beyonder tells Ed, like, all right, time to get moving. It's got a little crowded here. I think I'm done thinking. And Mephisto's face, I think this is my panel of the week, just like this distraught face from Mephisto. Like, he's leaving? Oh, no. I needed a diversion to keep him there. So he goes to the Thing in a dream, makes him go crazy, signs away his soul in exchange for more strength. He attacks the Beyonder, and then almost immediately afterwards, the forces of evil show up. Which, why did you need that diversion? It takes you like 30 seconds.
I don't. And then, of course, the Thing is like, well, I'm going to fight all the villains with my evil granted strength.
Yeah. And so Mephisto rips up the contract. He's like, all right, I'll get rid of his strength, but I lose his soul. Oh, well. Then in the middle of this battle, somehow this device with the poison in there, what was it, Beyonder's Bane, it explodes or whatever, and Mephisto's defeated. But all the silent thinkers are now just like swimming in this poison goop, and they're happy? What?
Yeah.
Is that what happened? Was that
not a very clear issue?
I don't know what happened there at the end. Where like at first I thought it was like lava, but I was like, that can't be lava.
Also, for as much as Secret Wars 1 didn't have a ton of characterization, like Doctor Doom and and Doctor Octopus were like kind of high points of like, oh, they're like kind of how their villainy is different, like Kang and Doom scheming and all of that. This is just like all of them are like, duh, okay, whatever you say, Mephisto, and just run at the Beyonder and get beaten up.
A lot of that. Ugh. Anything else to say about this one? On to number 8.
I do like reading like the bottom things. This book is clearly like, you should read these other books where the Beyonder, which if I was reading the Marvel Universe, I'd fucking hate if the Beyonder was the villain of every book for 9 months of Marvel.
Well, he's not even the villain. He's just popping in, being like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And you're just like, "What? Okay."
Yeah, like it looks like he's in New Mutants. I think New Mutants ends after the next one, I think is what it says. But like the Puma, who I don't even know from Spider-Man, like tries to get, in both Amazing and Spectacular, Puma tries to trick Spider-Man into killing the Beyonder. And then...
He's kind of a Native American Kraven.
Is that it? Okay. And
that's kind of his deal.
Okay. I think I saw like a picture of him in the last issue of this. And then...
he's like the ideal whatever tribe he's from.
Okay. That kind of character. Okay. And then Defenders, I guess, is ending in this time frame. I don't know if the Beyonder is going to kill all of them or what, but the Defenders at 152 issues, which is a long time for Defenders, is going to end.
Yeah.
Over what? That's like 13 years.
Yeah, it's a long
time. Yeah, the New Mutants they end up showing up here. We kind of see their fate a little bit.
I think the New Mutants are killed in issue 37 for some reason, if I recall correctly, but that's a spoiler for the bottom part of these pages.
I think that's okay. We can kill the New Mutants. Nobody needs that.
They're going to be X-Force in the future.
They're also friends of Your Stupid Minds.
Yep. So we covered that movie. Which issue had where Beyonder's like, good work, Power Pack, especially you, Alex Power. You're wise beyond your years.
I think that was the first issue of what we read here, issue 6. We
Shut up, Beyonder.
The Power Pack, friends of the show, were in the first issue of this thing. We did not mention them at all.
No, they don't matter.
It's wild to me that I'm like nostalgic for a time when the Beyonder is like, how do you poop?
Those issues were fun.
Is it next issue? Is this issue coming up where Peter Parker says, "Hey, you can't poop at my apartment anymore because it was destroyed in one of the
fires"? There's a fire.
Yeah, that's this issue.
That's issue
Continuity.
Yep. All right. Well, let's get into it because I don't really know about the continuity. Because in the last issue, Beyonder spent the whole issue meditating and thinking. And so where's he at now in issue 8? He is so frustrated that he wants to destroy all of existence. So he's letting off some steam in Owen's living room.
This reminds me of a Jim Starlin book, but dumb. This is kind of exploring these sort of philosophical questions, but in the stupidest way in the world.
That's why, when we talked last episode, I thought I got Jim Shooter and Jim Starlin confused. I'm like, is this the guy who wrote All the Silver Surfer? Because this is him doing a very bad job, if that's the case. And you're like, no, it's a different guy. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Different Jim.
And it's been a little tough to me to separate because a lot of these kind of philosophical questions it is bringing up. I was just rewatching The Good Place, which is like an excellent show. I love that show, and there are a lot of similarities here with like, oh, the Beyonder just wants to be human. Oh, there's like a few little things that I guess I won't spoil the show. But it was like, oh God, I just watched such a better version of this than what I'm getting, because it's like it's almost cool. It's always almost cool, but then it just never is. I don't know. So what do we got here? Owen kind of turns this whole thing into a therapy session. He's like, let's look at your childhood, or at least wherever you came from. And Beyonder like describes a pinhole that opened up into reality. So Owen like investigates it and realizes that when he became the Molecule Man, at that moment he created that pinhole. Did he create the Beyonder? They recap everything up until now. Beyonder says nothing has fulfilled him.
Which again is like good. Like, I don't even know if Shooter's doing this on purpose, but it's good continuity that the Watcher tells Fantastic Four, like, we got to do something. And they're like, why? And they're like, oh, there's just a new villain you have to fight. It does make sense if you're like, well, he's like actually alerted God accidentally.
Mm-hmm. It's set into motion accidentally.
Yeah,
the Beyonder's existence. That is really clever. I feel like
this
book didn't highlight that at all.
This like
should have.
There's a lot of parallels with this and kind of Earth X, right? With that like cool idea with the celestial seed and everything, and it's like, oh, and it actually kind of works and it all makes sense, but it still sucks to read.
This is an exercise in writers out there. If you have a cool idea, focus on the cool idea, not everything.
A bunch
else.
of bullshit.
Yep. Right. Yeah, it's George Lucas being like, okay, Anakin's Star Killer, and they're like, no. Start with the best part of this story, not a character named Anakin Star Killer.
So anyways, Owen is telling the Beyonder, like, hey, fulfillment is still possible. Maybe you just need to turn mortal or something. And he's like, so you can just kill me? No way, man. I'm going to destroy everything. And he's like, well, don't do that yet. And he's like, all right, I'm coming back here in 24 hours. Then I'm destroying everything.
I will say my big complaint over the first episode we did of this is that, like, I don't know who is our protagonist. I don't know who, like, I'm, like, my point of view character is. I don't know who I'm rooting for. I don't even know if like Beyonder's like an anti-hero, then I'm like, you're kind of fucking up, but I still like want to see you find meaning. Like, who do I care about here? Because like all the heroes are just like non-existent and like not characterized. This is where it starts to like really flip, but it's been doing like Molecule Man is now becoming like my stakes and my person I care about and my anti-hero that he's done wrong things, but he wants to like redeem himself. But now he's got a ticking time clock of like, you got 24 hours before he murders you. And, like, this is the first time in the entire book that I'm like, oh, I'm rooting for somebody.
Yeah.
Is this the scene, or is it later where his girlfriend is like, Beyonder, I'll be with you?
That's
a little the end of the issue.
Yes.
So for now, Beyonder goes to a fancy hotel, fancy restaurant, mind controls everyone, mind controls the waitress to go back to the hotel with him.
He's learned nothing since, like, issue 4.
He's learned nothing. Very weird scene with this girl. He causes an earthquake, makes her old, restores everything. And he's like, all right, girl, go away. Trouble's coming. And the X-Men attack.
And the book is like, gets this like thing that's like, it wasn't our show, but it was some other thing where like, there's so much in this thing that's like, the reason that life has meaning is because we die. We know that it's finite, so therefore we have meaning. And I was listening to something that was like, that's just propaganda from like immortals, like vampires. Like, you don't want none of this. This is awful. You don't want to be immortal. You want to die because then life will have meaning. Don't try to be immortal. And I was like, that's an interesting perspective too. Because like after hearing that, I'm like watching this, like everybody's like, the only reason anything matters is because we know we'll die. The reason we love our children is because one day we know we'll die and leave them alone. And I'm like, or not. Like, maybe we just love things to love things. Like, the death is, I'm not constant. I'm an anxious person. And I feel like when I talk about my death, people are like, that's fucking dark, man. I don't think people are that, like, death is not their top of mind thing 24/7 to give their life meaning. So I feel like this is a very bad train of thought to give Beyonder. But there we go.
That's fair.
And she's like, I don't feel that. The girl's like, I don't feel that way. He's like, I'm gonna make you old and I'm knocking on death's door. Maybe you will feel that way now. And she's like, what the fuck, man? Come on.
Turn you into Aunt May.
She doesn't like Aunt May.
So then the X-Men attack him, and Rachel uses like a giant Power of the Phoenix bomb or something on him, but it's useless.
Is
And he's
Rachel?
like,
Who is Rachel Grey, by the way? Is she like an alternate universe daughter of Jean Grey? Is that what she is?
Yes, she's from the Bishop
Cable
X-Men Days of Future Past reality.
Okay.
She's Cyclops and Jean Grey's daughter.
I think this is my favorite exchange in this book, where Beyonder is like, "Why the hell are y'all attacking me?" And they say, "Well, you came to this city and you caused an earthquake." And he's like, "Ah, shit, you're right. I should get out of here." And he just leaves. I like that scene for whatever reason. Beyonder heads back east, and so Owen is so scared of him coming back, he makes like a big old dome over. He just says over this section of the country. It is not disclosed how big this dome is, but of course Beyonder shatters through it and isn't even heading to Colorado yet. He's in the Southwest.
He's like, I'm gonna make a biodome, and we'll be completely self-sufficient here, and we'll just live here, protected from the Beyonder. And I like how you even notice, like, I may not have fully thought this out. We may not actually have everything we need to live, but I'm working on borrowed time here, man. Like, I'm doing my best.
I'm inviting Pauly Shore, and where I'm creating
Stephen Baldwin, the third best Baldwin. Yep. And then, but like literally like 2 panels later, and this is why like there's no stakes. Beyonder's like, I broke it. It doesn't matter. Your plan doesn't matter, man.
Doesn't matter.
But
he's not even. Yeah, he's not even headed there. He goes to the Southwest. He fights the Hulk for a little while. He like looks inside the Hulk and sees that there's no Bruce in there. That they've separated, and he's like, it reminds me of someone. And he goes to Peter's place to talk. Why did that remind him of Peter? Or maybe it reminded him of himself. I don't know. Goes to Peter's place to talk, which has burned down in a big fire. And yeah, Peter's like, you can't use the restroom, man. Sorry. But he does give him some advice. He's like, you realize some stuff when you're on the edge of mortality. And so Beyonder's like, all right, I'm going to turn over a new leaf. I'm going to go apologize to Owen. Shows up, and Owen instantly attacks him. So Beyonder's like, shit, I'm glad you did that. I was about to come clean to you, but now it turns out you're bad. So they fight each other. Then Marcia. This is where Marcia turns on Owen and says, oh, Beyonder, I beg you to be, like, I'll be with you. Just don't destroy everything. I'll forget about Owen. He's so weak. And Owen just, like, breaks down and cries at this. And Beyonder doesn't want Marcia, but he does like seeing Owen cry. So he's happy now, and he's like, cool, I'm going to leave everything the way it is. Bye for now.
Which was all part of Marcia's plan?
Yes, and then she gets in the car and is just like, ha ha.
But she's like, oh, I felt terrible doing that, but I knew that would work on the Beyonder, but I don't know.
Somehow.
And then there's an epilogue where the Avengers show up to fight.
An
but
epilogue that starts on the bottom panel of the page. It doesn't even wait for like a page break.
But it's like the cliffhanger is meant to be this little epilogue, but also this isn't even where things pick up next time.
It does make you wonder how many, like superhero fights and like bank robberies and other things like Spider-Man fights could have been avoided if he could just like ugly cry on command, just like snot coming out of his eyes. Oh, yeah. You're just like, oh, geez, I turn myself in. I just don't want to deal with this.
Is that like the MacGruber defense where MacGruber was like, I'm so sad, I'm so pathetic, I'll suck your dick, I'm so sorry.
It does feel
all the
like
bad guys like, what
MacGruber.
the fuck? And then that's how he gets away.
I thought I was making it up, but it may be from MacGruber.
All right, so we're on to the last issue here. It's double-sized, but I did write less notes for this, I think.
I was going to say, it's double-sized for more superhero fights, basically. That's the only thing that happens.
At least there's superhero fights.
That's something.
He looks like Michael Jackson on the front cover. Like
right, he really does. That coat, that's a Thriller coat for sure.
As much as I hate most of the Beyonder style, I do like the jacket. That's a good piece of establishing who the Beyonder is. Like the Jerry curl is like ridiculous. Like he looks so much stupider even than he did when he was like a Steve Rogers looking guy in the beginning. I like the jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, so what do we got here? Marcia makes a call to the Avengers hotline about the Beyonder being in Colorado.
They continue to fat shame her. She's eating a giant donut with crumbs flying everywhere while she's on the
They
phone.
do, yeah. And
it's bizarre. It's like, in what world is this a fat woman? I don't understand.
She's very curvy. She has the right ratios, like of hips to breasts. Like she's gorgeous. Volcana, if you want to look her up. But like they call like Beyonder calls her like a fat cow multiple times throughout this thing. It's like a Love Actually where they call Hugh Grant's girlfriend also like a fat cow. And we're like, what in what world are we talking about? She's beautiful, but okay.
Yeah.
But let's see. The Avengers are not at the mansion. They're all busy. Reed Richards picks up, and Marcia tells them about what's going on.
Because it's the Avengers hotline. That's right.
She's just calls. Yeah.
And they actually, all the superheroes get teleported to wherever the place is. I don't know. By Rachel Gray. She needs to get everyone together because they're going to go after the Beyonder. Beyonder has made an underground base where he's made a new machine which like births humans, like it rebirths humans.
The
like
mama machine, is that what he calls it?
Yeah, he calls it the mama machine. And
this is just like something from the end of Evangelion. Just like, okay, whatever. Second impact has happened.
Yeah, like he jumps in and he is reborn and he turns into a baby and it like speeds him through development and makes him an adult again. And he's like, oh, it worked, but I need my power again. And he's like, all right, back to normal.
Well, he's like, very progressive. He wants the machine because he doesn't want to take over like a woman's body to like birth him. Like he feels like that might be a bridge too far. Which is good.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was gonna say he needs to check out what's his name from that Avengers 200 issue. And he's just like, no, I need to give birth to myself.
Yeah, just hop in the mama machine. It's a labor-saving device, literally. I've always liked gadgets anyway. That's what he says.
I do. I do think it's consistent that he loves gadgets. Also, Mephisto shows up and just spits maggots at him while he's in human form.
Yeah, I forgot. What was that? I think it's a lot of it was in his head as well. I was like, oh, now that you're mortal, I can put fear into you. And I was like, no. Not or something. I don't know.
Well, and he kills...
It's really weird because Beyonder is like not a moral character, but they're doing this like temptation of Jesus thing, and I'm like, this doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, it's a lot of weird stuff.
And he killed the New Mutants at some point, maybe in the last issue of New Mutants, and then he made them back as like blank husks for this.
Yeah, like they were reborn through the machine. That's how he tested it, and they're under his control. I don't know. And so outside with all the heroes, Volcana's there. She's telling them about how Dr. Doom gave her the powers during Secret Wars 1. And they're like, yeah, but you're inexperienced. And, against the Beyonder.
Woman, they don't say that.
No, but what? Somebody, I think Rachel is like, against the Beyonder, one more hero is not going to make a difference. You should go home. I'm like, I feel like that's the opposite of what
they usually say.
Like every hero
every
counts,
person,
right?
Every person, every little drop counts, Yeah.
It's
whatever. What's gonna make the difference? We're all gonna die anyway.
We're all gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, when they have the big group shot, they have like Silver Surfer, the Thing, Iron Man, Namor, and Hawkeye. And they're like, maybe Hawkeye's gonna be the one. He's gonna kill the Beyond.
You never know. So let's see. Am I still there?
Yep.
Okay. So she goes to Owen, who was kind of distraught and like he's destroyed the apartment, and it's like, oh, what's going on with you? And he's got some poignant stuff here about how he thought there was nothing left to live for, and like he went mad, destroyed the apartment, and then he kind of thought like, if my life is worthless without you, then that means it was worthless before, and that's not true. Like the only reason we love each other is because we were worth loving, and that it means I'll be okay. And knowing that I don't need you means I love you even more. So they reconcile and they're fine. I thought that was a sweet scene. It kind of came out of nowhere for me, but it was sweet. Let's see. The Beyonder sends the mind-controlled New Mutants to the surface to fight the other heroes. And after they fight them off, they're able to kind of, I don't know, do something and be like, oh, that means he's underground. And they fight him down there.
And it is a cool panel of them like showing like the slice where like we're gonna drill this giant hole through this mountain. Molecule Man's gonna help with that, and then we're gonna be able to get to his machine. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, but it really just becomes Owen versus the Beyonder, while everyone else is just fighting random demons and stuff. Owen is just not as strong as the Beyonder, and he has to give up. and we see the Beyonder destroy everything. And everything is dead. And the Beyonder goes to his machine to become human again, to be reborn as the first mortal or something, I guess. But then we see the heroes wake up in the rubble. Owen gave up early on purpose, so he'd have enough strength to shield everyone. And he's kept all living things in stasis in subspace, and he'll bring them back later.
Like Noah.
Okay. And they all are like, all right, we got to attack now. And they burrow down instantly. It's the element of surprise. But all they find is a baby. And they kind of debate over killing it. But then it goes off like a bomb or something. And Owen's like, we have to destroy it. And someone blasts it and shit goes crazy. And there's this white light. Baby's dead. But then we see a new universe being born somewhere else in a little microcosm or something. And there's new mortal beings that are there evolving from the Beyonder, possibly. And that's the end.
Okay, so I have a question, Chris, and you may know this. Is this explicitly the birth of the New Universe? Like the Marvel New Universe publishing line? Because I was trying to look up New Universe this past week, and I could not get confirmation. But like the New Universe started with a white event, which is here, like a year later, written by Jim Shooter. So I think this is also like a backdoor pilot to create the New Universe. Does that make sense?
I believe it is too. I think it's from the Marvel The Untold Story that talked about that. I don't know if it was if it's actually canon, but I do think that was an idea that they used whenever they did it. Because Star Brand is 1986,
right? Because the new universe, for listeners in Kia, maybe you don't remember, was like it was like 8 new heroes in a new world, also published by Marvel, but didn't overlap with the Marvel comics, like the 616. And then like Warren Ellis brought it back like in the mid 2000s for a book called like New Universal, which I remember reading and not liking, or just being very bored by. But this was like, they kept saying New Universe in here, and I'm like, this seems familiar. Like I've read this before.
Yeah, I think this is like gently kind of foreshadowing it, but I don't think it's exactly like
explicit
the same thing.
Yeah. But Secret Wars 2. There is no Secret Wars 3.
Until 2015.
Yeah.
When they called Secret Wars 1.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anything else to say about this?
Ugh.
I mean, like I was saying throughout, there's some cool ideas in here for sure, and some nice little bits of writing. But man, the whole thing as a whole, it's kind of tough.
I think it picked itself up in the final 2 issues when it decided to focus on Molecule Man as like your protagonist, and then it like made more sense for me coming out of this. I like Molecule Man, so that's a win. I know who he is. I like him. I like his deal. I don't know if it's ever gonna get picked up again. But I like him. I don't like his design. I don't like the way his face is drawn, and it's inconsistent with just between panels, but just with the slashy marks. It's not a great design, but I like him a lot, and I like what they ended up doing with his character. But basically, every Marvel hero and villain was kind of like just nothing. They were just like in the background as Chris's impression of like Dr. Demodor, just listening to what Mephisto says. Like, that's not how my heroes are. That's not how my villains are. So that really sucks. As far as like a giant Marvel event. It's just, and like, I don't give a shit about the Beyonder. I never cared about his journey from beginning to end. I don't care. You shouldn't have focused on this. And he like didn't learn things between issues. Like he brainwashed people to fall in love with him, like in issues 2, 3, 4, and again later. Like he never learned his lesson, even though he learned it every issue. It was just felt like it was treading water the whole time. It's a very dull book.
How did you feel about the secrecy of the war?
Oh man, like everybody, the whole world. I mean, I think he did like delete the memories of the New Mutants from everybody. So the Beyonder may have deleted the memories of him. He took over the whole world, and yet people forgot in between issues. So maybe there was a secret war.
Maybe.
You think there's like a photo of him in the White House?
Yeah.
Oh.
What are you guys?
People
Chris,
are like, "Who is this?"
Yeah, Chris, you got any other thoughts here?
I mentioned it earlier. Like, this feels like a dumb first draft of what could be an interesting comic. I like Molecule Man is, I think we probably even talked about it in Secret Wars 1. Like he's such a nothing, but like they kind of make him interesting in a way. Like, and again, in like the hands of a better writer, I think it would be better done. That it's just like, oh, he's like they're in this sort of like fake domestic situation. They both have superpowers and blah blah blah, but they're just like pretending. And but it's like there's not any kind of resolution to it. It's just like, Volcana is just like owie, blah 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 blah, or owie. So it's just like it's just kind of annoying pet names and watching television. But the last few issues, I'm like, oh, okay, there could have been something here in terms of like meaning and like finding something. They're kind of like these kind of similar forces, but the book is just so brain dead. It can't actually make any of those points. And every superhero it writes and in supervillain is just so like written like for a 7-year-old. Every time Captain America is like, oh, we better start a fight with this guy, or like, oh, maybe we should wait until we start a fight with this guy. Like it's, they pointed out in the earlier issues that it's just like, oh, humans just immediately resort to violence. Like, well, yes, superhero comics do, but you're not being like clever by noticing this.
Yeah. And I don't think I have anything else to add other than what we've already said. I don't want to read any more Secret Wars stuff.
Yeah, I never want to see the Beyonder again.
Okay, there is one thing I wanted to say. I know that Secret Wars 1 was like the first Marvel event, This, though, really does feel like they kind of started to figure out what they could do with an event and be like tie-ins, And it does, while they didn't like execute it super well, they don't even like these days, they still don't execute it super well, right. You know what I mean? But they're still trying, and it kind of mostly seems like how they do it these days, where it's like, hey, you want to learn more about this? Go read this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like at worst, we talked about Civil War, and like Civil War is actually like a pretty good event because you can just read the Civil War event and don't have to read anything else. Mm-hmm. I also think of like the worst parts of Civil War were just every single book was like Tony Stark sucks, right? And that's how I feel like probably all of these books were like Beyonder sucks, right? I'm like, I don't need to read 20 books a month telling me the Beyonder sucks. That seems very like dull. And the Marvel Universe like really stagnated for me when it was doing that. So
yeah.
But
and it tells you like if you're reading Power Pack and suddenly the Beyonder is there, it's like, well, we're not going to change how Power Pack works. It's just like your regular storylines have been interrupted for a month to boost sales, hopefully.
Yeah,
because it's like Secret Wars tie-in at the top. This one was the one. This was contemporaneous with Crisis on Infinite Earths, which we didn't love.
Right.
But I think it's better than
this.
this.
Yeah, by a mile. Yeah.
Because at least that felt like it had big stakes that changed things. And even, like month to month, maybe it wouldn't be as fun. But it's just like, well, stuff is like happening. You can't, for better or worse. Even we were very confused by some of the stuff that was happening. But it's like you couldn't say stuff didn't happen in that shit.
Right.
At least stuff happened.
That book had similar problems though, where like its cliffhangers didn't pick up on the next issue.
Right. Well, and it also had similar problems in it. There's like I don't even remember his name, but there was like the anti-man, and then there's like anti-man.
The monitor and the anti-monitor.
Yes. Who's like, oh, we're kind of reflections of each other. We're just like, shut up. Get out of here. And this, when it does that with Molecule Man, I kind of have the same where I'm just I get it.
I think that's where I like similarly had the same thoughts on like on Crisis, where like when it suddenly focused on Alexander Luthor, I'm like, finally somebody to focus on here that actually like has a clear point of view and like a goal.
A guy who has been played by an actor in a Flash TV show or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're ready to move on to Thunderbolts. Yeah. We're done with event comics. Thunderbolts. What's going on? We spent a couple of issues on an alien planet, but they're back home teleported to Colorado. What do? We start here with Colonel Bridge and Shield. They're talking about the escaped Thunderbolts. Everyone's looking for them.
My favorite thing about these books, by the way, is that every single one of these issues, there's an editor's note to spell out what Shield stands for.
Yeah,
it's
I think
ridiculous.
In this one it goes all together now.
Does it really?
Yeah, it says all together
like,
now.
they know it's a joke too. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, we're on the same page. We're like, this is a bit now. Okay,
yeah.
And Busiek's ahead of me. He's just a little ahead of me.
He knows. Some guy at Shield's like, well, like, why are we looking for those other 5 that teleported out? Like, it says that they actually helped, and they're like, yeah, but everyone's like wants to talk to them. They're interesting people.
It's a good framing device. Like they're like, this is how they, without a recap page, catch you up every issue. Like, what's the status? Shield's like, I think this is what happened. Yeah, this seems like important. Okay, we'll tell people. We'll say that a lot. Exposition.
Yeah, 5 super criminals. Oh wait, 5 super criminals and 1 teenager.
Yeah.
Is the teenager good? I think she's good. Yeah.
There is a dude in the shadows here. Like, well, he's not really in the shadows. He's just kind of. They don't show his face.
Oh, is that the one from the final page?
From the end, where it's he's like, we were waiting to get revenge on the Thunderbolts, and you promised us. And he's like, all right, just be patient. I'm like, all right,
the show.
Oh, I didn't even pick up.
It is a friend of the show. Yep.
I didn't see the first panel of him. I saw the second panel. He's got like red glove and blue sleeves. So I was like, is Captain America coming here?
It's not Captain America. Meanwhile, in Colorado, in the Rockies, we got Mach 1 and Moonstone. They're zooming around, looking. They're hunting for meat, killing rabbits. Mach 1 kind of can't go through with it, but Moonstone's got no problem killing some rabbits. They've got a camp set up. Songbird skinned and cooked the rabbits that they killed, and it's like, Mach 1 is kind of surprised she could do that. It's like, you learn how to do a lot, and you got to survive.
She was a carny.
Yep. They all talk about the plan. They're going to stick together as a team. Moonstone has convinced Jolt that they can't just turn themselves in. But nobody else has really saw their moment of redemption. They haven't seen the changes that Jolt has seen in them, so they kind of have to agree to hide for now. Mach 1 suggests. Go ahead.
I do like that they're like, okay, we can just, we've got some money stashed away. We can get like fake IDs and stuff, which I know is a crime, Jolt. But can we at least commit like a misdemeanor crime with like fake IDs?
Yeah, she's like, we kind of have to do like something, and they're like, got that look on her face.
Well, I really like how the scene is staged. That what is her name? I can't remember now. It's not Meteorite. Moonstone. Yeah, thank you. Moonstone is like coerced Jolt in this whole conversation. Like she says the entire conversation. She frames it as like, Jolt and me talked, and this is our idea. So Jolt is kind of like, but she doesn't feel like the right time to like contradict her. Like you can see a few times, like Jolt is like, that's not exactly how I feel, but okay. Like it's just staged really well that like Moonstone like takes over the conversation and speaks for Jolt, because Jolt is the one that's going to oppose her. It's really clever on Moonstone's part, and then just like really well framed in the scene. I'm like really proud of it. It's really good.
I do like what Mach 1 had suggested. Like, can we just like make a new team and we'll get new identities? And they're like, that's just a little too obvious, man. Like they're gonna
You're telling me there's gonna be another team of 5 people with the same powers that are gonna pull the same scheme? Like, come the fuck on.
Like
we're heroes.
We're gonna dye everyone's hair.
So they Mach 1 had some money buried they used to jumpstart things. They all get new identities, and it's like pretty easy, and Jolt's kind of surprised, and they're like, we're kind of used to being criminals.
Atlas is still moping.
Yeah, Atlas is really moping the whole time. He's thinking he's a failure. It's only a matter of time before he fails this team.
He tries to call Dallas, his girlfriend from before, if they found out he was evil.
Yeah, Dallas Reardon, the aide at the mayor's office, tries calling her, and at the office they're like, "Dude, you haven't heard? She got fired. Like the grand jury might indict her for hooking the mayor up with the Thunderbolts." That's so just like Eric feels extra terrible. We see Dallas on the other end that like she gets word that she is going to be safe. The jury is going to let her go. But the part that stings for her is thinking that Atlas could have really cared about her, and she just wants to get started on her new life.
Well, and she's like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna take the fall for this. I didn't even want to be the Thunderbolts liaison. The mayor Giuliani put me up for this.
Yeah, damn Giuliani.
And now he's just he's letting me take the fall for this. Classic Giuliani.
Mayor Bloomberg, no more big sodas and no more Thunderbolts.
So the Thunderbolts also, they get jobs just so they can make some money. They're getting like restaurant, warehouse jobs. Not Moonstone though. She's a little higher class than that. She's going in for fancy interviews. But like some intern is like ogling her and like saying some sexist stuff during an interview. So she beats him up and it's like, all right, I didn't want this job anyway.
Songbird did not dye her hair, by the way. She's got a very distinctive hair color.
Yeah, Songbird, you should dye her
putting
hair.
it up.
But then
No one will be able to notice. They'll think she's rogue.
So then we see we move to Mexico. We got a big old castle in Mexico where Techno and Baron Zemo are hanging out there. Techno has a human in a big like liquid test tube thingy. He's making a new human body to move into because he does kind of miss it. Moonstone put that idea in his head, and he's like, "Yeah, I do miss it." And he's making a clone of Baron Zemo because they had some of Zemo's DNA lying around, and Baron Zemo's not using his face. And Baron Zemo does not like that idea, and he kills that body dead. And he goes, "My body is my own. Don't mess with it."
He pulls a gun out and shoots 7 shots into like the Bacta container from like Star Wars, just like.
It is funny. You're just like, I'm kind of on Zemo's side. Like, that's a creepy and stupid thing to do.
Yeah. Without asking, like, come on.
Yeah.
What did you expect here?
Yeah. Not even a like, hey, by the way, do you care? No, he just without permission is just like, I figured I would just walk around in a clone body of yours.
But also, like, isn't his face all scarred up? Wouldn't he just say, like, why don't you just keep that? I'm going to move into that fresh body.
No, Zemo doesn't want the fresh body.
He likes it scarred.
He likes it scarred because the people know he's like hard and cool and stuff.
That's true. Okay, that makes
He
sense.
said that last issue. So like, I'm like, okay, well, he isn't using this nice, clean, beautiful Zemo face. And then I guess this is where my quote came from. I've forgotten the context of it. The Techno's like, I should have cloned Kevin Costner's body. That was better.
Yeah, that's right. So the Thunderbolts wake up to a note that Atlas has left. Eric is gone. He said he's just bringing them down. Before they can even really process this, S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up and they start fighting. Moonstone is getting Songbird is getting very violent and very much like her old persona, Screaming Mimi.
You can take the girl out of the Screaming Mimi, but this you can,
you can't take this. You can take this. You can take the Mimi out of the Scream. You can't take the Scream out of the Mimi.
There we go. Yep. Nailed it.
So Mach 1 is noticing how different she's being. Jolt is kind of playing it safe in this fight because they're the good guys, S.H.I.E.L.D., and she doesn't want to hurt them. But she is kind of getting frustrated, so Moonstone kind of pushes her buttons to get her to fight harder. And they like find a path of escape kind of easily. They're not pursued too hard, and they're like, it almost feels like we're being, pushed in this direction. And they come across the dude in the shadows from earlier and his team. Of course, it's the Lightning Rods, which what do we call? They're just
the Great Lakes Avengers.
Great Lakes Avengers. Thank you.
The Great Lakes
they're always
Initiative was
changing
later
their
in their
names.
name.
Right. They became the Great Lakes X-Men, the Great Lakes Initiative. And I guess they were now the Lightning Rods. Were they trying to be the Thunderbolts for a bit, or just like the Lightning Rods was their new name and Thunderbolts is too close, so they're pissed? I don't know. We'll see next.
This was after I forget if we read the Deadpool issue where they show up, which was like their second appearance, their first joke.
I think
appearance.
all we did was that one episode was with the GLA and the GLX miss. I think that's all we ever covered.
Yeah, that mini-series forever ago.
Yeah, because there's a Deadpool appearance in like 1996 or 1997 where they show up as a joke character, where it is the Great Lakes Avengers, because that's who they had been in the 80s. And yes, this was their next joke appearance, where now they have joined, since the Avengers are gone, they're gonna join the Thunderbolts, like sort of umbrella, and be the Lightning Rods.
Fascinating. Yeah, I'd never seen them before since like 2005, and so to see they were here earlier, I'm like, that's not the Lightning Rods, that's the GLA. What are we talking about here?
The Great Lakes Avengers. Yep.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming is more of a joke of the JLA, even in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Great Lakes Avengers. Okay.
Well, yeah, it's specifically kind of a joke about the Justice League of the 80s where they had like Vixen and Vibe and other like lame characters who joined the group.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. This is
Um,
perfect. I'm excited. I'm
you
excited to
we're
see
back
the
to having fun.
GLA. I really am excited to see them again because I really like that miniseries.
I forgot they
Yeah.
were in this.
Yeah, this was kind of a down issue in terms of action because they just fight some shield people, but I do like the characterization. I feel like we're back after the kind of nothing alien stuff.
This really is the kind of issue I think we wanted for number 13, like following the big chaos of the first 12. But we got there eventually.
Yeah, because I wanted to like, well, what do we do next? Well, let's the conversation like, well, what do we should we just like change our names again? Like, do we turn ourselves in? Like, what are we gonna do? That's what I was expecting for 13.
Yeah. And I think they could have done the like, oh, we got sucked to an alien world if they wrapped it up in one issue, but 2 issues is a little bit too long for that.
But anyways, next time we are going to go on to number 16 here. We'll see how things progress with the Great Lakes Avengers. And then, I don't know about y'all, but boy, that terrible characterization of Captain America earlier just has me itching for more.
It really
I don't know. Is there anything we can read with some terrible Captain America? All right, so we're doing... It's Captain America Volume 2. During the whole Heroes Reborn thing, all the heroes died and made way for the Thunderbolts. Kind of coming out of the whole Age of Apocalypse, all that. They canceled the Avengers. They canceled Captain America. They canceled Fantastic Four. They restarted a bunch of number ones with all of them. Iron Man, I think, had one. Did Thor have one? Something like that. Maybe there wasn't an Avengers one. It was like,
No, there's Avengers,
there wasn't a
Fantastic
Thor
Four,
one.
Captain America, and Iron Man.
Great.
Yes.
Probably one of the infamously most terrible of them all is the Captain America one. If you look up the Captain America art for this, it was written by Jeff Loeb and Rob Liefeld, and the art was done by Rob Liefeld. And we haven't talked about Rob Liefeld a lot on this show. Have we ever read anything?
We covered like the origin of Deadpool, and I'm not sure if he was involved with that or not.
He was.
He was. I think we did like the first Deadpool. I don't think we did the Nicieza run. So, but that would have been a decade ago when Deadpool 1 came out. So.
Yeah. But yeah, Rob Liefeld is an infamous artist. Look up Rob Liefeld Captain America and you'll know what we're talking about. We're going to read those issues.
They have a Rob Liefeld shoe store in Deadpool and Wolverine in the background.
All right, I should watch that movie soon.
It's pretty good.
There's some good bits. Like I don't know if the movie is great, but there's some funny parts.
So all these miniseries lasted for a year before the heroes got wrapped back into the regular universe, and they kind of went back to the another new number one. So Volume 2 was very short for a lot of these, but we're going to read 1 through 6 because after that, Rob Liefeld got fired, and we're just going to see what these first 6 are all about and go from there. I'm excited, y'all.
I am excited. I had this thought while I was reading this Thunderbolts, in contrast to like Secret Wars, that I was like, Thunderbolts weirdly makes me want to read other comics. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the point of like a publishing comics is like not just to read this, but I'm like, what is up with Heroes Reborn? I was remembering, and I was like, because that's like the contemporaneous with this. I'm like, what is up with Heroes Reborn? I'm kind of interested in knowing what's going on there. I was also like thinking like, oh man, Superior Foes of Spider-Man that had Mach 1 in it. Maybe I want to go back to that book. And then I was thinking like, oh, I remember liking Warren Ellis's Thunderbolts run. Maybe I want to read that. And like Secret Wars is like, you should read this book. And I'm like, I'm not reading that. I don't want to read any of that shit. And Thunderbolts is like
the honors in it. No, thank you.
Right, exactly. But Thunderbolts is like, I do want to read like a lot of different things. And like, so like, there's a lot of different things to read. So like Heroes Reborn, Captain America. Why the hell not? Like, that sounds like something I'd want to tap into. It's crazy that Thunderbolts convinces me I should read other books.
I think it's one of the reasons I've always really liked Thunderbolts is that it is kind of like it's all based on those tiny little kind of world building details and just stringing them together to really build a kind of cohesive underworld that really is kind of connected a little bit more that you don't always see when you're seeing villain by villain. And even in like a big team up, it's almost too focused on and it doesn't feel like a real thing. This is just like, it's just kind of like regular stuff. I want to see a little bit of everybody hanging out.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's it. What do we got to plug here, Chris? What's the Your Stupid Minds podcast doing?
Well, as Vince mentioned, we have an episode that is adjacent to superheroes. We have Craven the Hunter. We talk all about, you all know Craven's powers. He has lion vision.
Daddy issues.
He hates his dad, Russell Crowe. What else? He's super fast, basically Captain America from the first Captain America movie. Craven. We all know what Craven does.
Yeah, man. Everyone knows Craven.
I will say it was funny, not to call out another podcast, but another podcast, because they do get most of the characters' powers wrong. But the Foreigner, who has a hypnosis power in the comics, has it accurately represented in the movie. And another Bad Movie podcast was like, he never had those powers in the comics. Like, no, that's exactly what his powers were. He never had real powers. He just had a 10-second hypnotize power.
Fascinating. Isn't Chameleon in that movie?
He is. Not as spoiler, I guess. But yes, if you know the history of Craven and Chameleon, a character is Chameleon.
Fascinating.
And the Rhino is there for some reason, even though...
It's not Paul Giamatti, though, right?
Right. Mild spoiler alert, the Rhino is killed before he ever meets Spider-Man, so figure that out.
What? Come on. Rhino.
Is that better or worse than him in the Andrew Garfield movie where all he is at the final, end scene where he's like, I've decided I'm going to be a hero again. He's like, I'll go fight the Rhino and then smash the credits.
The actor who plays the Rhino is good.
Okay.
It's the plot is stupid, but the actor is good.
I'm going to have to watch that. And then listen to you guys' podcast, because y'all always do a really good job. Your Morbius episode was fun, too. And your Madam Web episode was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
they've made a lot of Spider-Man movies. What the hell?
They made a lot of Spider-Man without Spider-Man.
They made 3 last year. They made Venom 3, Madam Web, and Craven, all in a 12-month span.
I'm still mad they canceled Silver and Black. They were going to make a movie with Silver Sable and Black Cat, and it would have made $0.
That would have been perfect. I would have watched that one.
My son, actually, he likes Silver Sable after playing the PS4 game. He's like, she's pretty cool. I'd watch a movie with her.
Yeah, I was telling somebody, I'm like, Silver Sable, even though in the comics she's useless, the idea of a bounty hunter who she is the, basically responsible for the GDP of her tiny country is bounties. Kind of a cool idea.
That's great.
That would be a cool video game.
Yeah, exactly. I understand in a comic, but what does that mean? But if I'm upgrading my base, then I have a video game. I'm I have a skill tree or something. Yep. Now we're talking.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Vince, what's going on for you?
Nothing. I was on an episode of Games My Mom Found about Shovel Knight, but that hasn't posted yet. And I'm getting ready to record one about Wario Land 1, but that's probably a month or 2 out from actually publishing.
Is that Super Mario Land 3?
Yes, it is. The Game Boy game. I played a colorized ROM hack of it right now, so it looks pretty snazzy.
That's a great game. There's one of those jewels in one level that's behind a waterfall or something. I remember it always gave me trouble.
I had to get, I'm going to blow real names. Jimmy and Philip, they're brothers that we knew. They had to get that treasure for me.
I know exactly who you're
Wow.
I'm like, I can't do this, guys. I cannot
right here
do it.
on the podcast.
Thank you, Jimmy and Phil, for your service. What do I got to plug? I'll plug Portugal. I went to Porto. It's pretty nice, very cheap, very hilly. You get ready to do some walking on some skinny sidewalks.
Nice.
Cheap wine. That's really it. That's the selling point.
Yep, they got it.
They got it. That's all you need.
That's they call it the pigs. I don't even know if Ireland should be kicked out of the pigs. Yeah, the pigs was Portugal, Ireland, Greece, Spain. The 4 cheap countries to go visit.
That's pretty good. The pigs. I like that.
But nice. I feel like Ireland, now that they, that was before pre-European Union and everything, Ireland's probably out now. I don't think it's cheap anymore.
That
makes sense.
It's just PGS now. Okay.
Just PGS. Pro golf.
Yeah. Now it's the puck because United Kingdom. It's their whole country after Brexit in the toilet.
Yeah, they're the Switch 2 is going to be very expensive for them.
Yeah, that's the other thing we're going to plug. The Switch 2. We're going to learn more about that soon. So that'll be cool.
Games.
Yep. But I think we're done. Vince, I love you.
Love you too, buddy.
Chris, I love you.
I'm going to undo Reality. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. I'm going to remake Reality.
And in this new reality,
does he love you?
Is there anything you want to say to him?
Does he love you?
Unclear.
Damn it. And listeners, we love you as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.